Hello. Oh, I messed up there. All right. Hello, everybody. I didn't do the fade out that time. I am Jimmy Ruffian, and I am not wearing pants for today's show.
Yeah, it's kind of like in the Muppets when they sort of like pan out and you see the hand up their ass.
Yeah. I was expected to only be filmed from the waist down, and but that happened instead.
Whoopsie doodle.
Can everybody hear Nat okay?
I am to be heard. Please and thank.
Yeah. I always forget I have to crank her mic preamp.
Because of who I am as a person.
Yeah, welcome to the show. Canada Day.
Woo.
Everybody, ooh, Canada Day. Isn't
pew.
everybody so proud of, I don't know what anymore.
Less.
Yeah.
Nat is a bit. Oh, am I still quiet like right now?
Even after we turned her up, I know there's a bit of a delay on the chat.
Yeah.
So
we will hold steady
and I'm
and
almost
see if I'm
always
still...
loud in comparison to Nat.
Yeah, there's nothing I can do about that. That's just how we are as people.
That's the problem. Like, because I am essentially not only the host of this show or co-host, but producer as well. I'm doing all the keyboard things, the sound things, the video things,
and I'm just
so I only can pay attention to so much, right?
Oh, when I'm back from the that tracks.
Okay, she's good now.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So yeah, it's Canada Day, and increasingly, I remember saying years ago, I think to the behest of my parents, I don't think they like when I say unpatriotic things, fuck Canada Day, and I have nothing to be proud of as a Canadian. Yeah. Sure, I guess in comparison to how bad we could have it, I guess there's some things to be happy about
that
there.
Bar is
but
low.
At the same, the bar is low. But not only that, I can't help but to think of the things, the atrocities it took to gain these benefits
that we're still actually
and I'm supposed
today.
To be I'm proud of that.
Yeah,
that's something I really want to stand behind. It's it's cool that we have universal healthcare, even though it's been eroded very much over the past few decades, and so you got less and less to be proud of
and
there.
Ford has
but
just
universal healthcare is cool, but at the same time, I can't ignore what we've done to the indigenous and stuff, and how reaping the benefits of what we took from them kind of translates into all the benefits we have today, right? And so it sort of stains everything we could be proud of, including something as nice as universal health insurance.
And Ford has also just expanded what private health clinics in Ontario can bill for.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're it's even less universal than it used to be, because there's more and more there's more and more paywalls going up all the time.
Yeah.
And it's
yeah, if you want to check to see if you're vitamin D deficient, you're going to pay out of pocket for that. That's no longer OHIP covered. Even if it's the, crux of your current health concerns, doesn't matter. That particular blood test is behind a paywall. So
yeah.
Cool beans.
And that's how it starts, right? Is with these little things that they can gradually take away where, maybe a lot of people won't necessarily notice.
Yeah.
Immediately. And next thing you know, you're paying for everything, right? So
yeah.
I mean, I don't mean to sound doomer about it here, but
you should, because we need to be absolutely way less ambivalent and apathetic about it than we currently are, because these gains that we have fought for. We were propagandized over the past few decades to assume that any gains meant that they were eternal gains. And that's a lie, because those can get rolled back, and they will be, and they are being, because of our aforementioned apathy.
I hate all these paywalls.
Yeah, I know.
Trying to pull up the article on this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So now, in the federal election that just passed, I know that James and I both held our noses and voted for the Liberals as the lesser of evils, given.
And even right after they won, I
Yeah.
posted on TikTok. I said,
Yeah.
we're not celebrating a Liberal win.
No.
We're celebrating conservative loss, because
Yeah.
we have the choice between worse and worser.
Yeah, because like we
that was what it came down to, and we chose worse instead of worser.
Yeah,
but it's still worse. It's still worse,
It's
and it is
not good.
showing itself.
Yeah.
Quite clearly, like right off the bat with Bill C2 and this like stronger borders fucking bill that Carney has put up, which is basically just echoing the desires of the Republicans in the United States. So I view that as, capitulating to them, even though maybe that was Carney's goal. Is like, because again, at the end of the day, he's a right winger. But like, of all the things, right wing things I expected Carney to do, Bill C2 in doing like a border control thing in Canada was not one that I expected to see from him, but there he is doing it.
Yeah, it's kind of clown shoes.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. It is what's happening. This is literally why relying upon electoralism to save us is a losing bargain every fucking time. Because, like, I get that a lot of people were so concerned about Polyev and the extreme far right taking control that we decided to go with right light with the Liberals. And I don't know that everyone did it strategically. Some folks, maybe full bore, are totally down with this, but for the folks who understood the writing was on the wall that the NDP was not able to make headway that it needed in order to steer the government and policy as leftward as we wanted, we need to understand that that was just the beginning of the fight, and we've got 4 fucking years ahead of us to be loud and irritating and do fucking more.
Yeah.
Because this shit sucks, and it's gonna suck fucking more. Because Carney, even though he isn't a goofy far right caricature, he is a Reagan sort.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That's what makes him dangerous, right? Is that he is a very palatable right winger.
Yeah.
It's not as repulsive on its surface. It's a little more calculated. It's a little more conniving.
Yeah.
And I definitely something that should not be underestimated about him. Like that was one of the things that I was trying to get through to people. Like a lot of people wanted to have a lot of optimism for Carney because he stood in opposition to the Conservatives, and he seemed like such a breath of fresh air in comparison to Pierre Poilievre and all that stuff. And it's like, oh, it's so nice to hear a politician running for prime minister that really sounds like he knows what he's talking about when it comes to the economy, and it sounds like he's really educated on these issues, and he can speak articulately about them. And it's just like because he's a banker, because he's a pro, because he knows how to sell those concepts to the greater public and communicate them in a way that a lot of people can understand.
While
and that's salesmanship. Okay. It's not necessarily being the kind of politician that's going to benefit us, right?
Yeah.
Like those two things aren't congruent with each other.
Doesn't mean that he's a steward of the left.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Like, even though he's leading the lefter of the right parties, he's not a leftist. And so any progressive policies that, we're vying for, probably not going to happen.
And I think like conniving right-wing activity in Canada is at least a lot more threatening than it is in the United States. Like I think that largely in American politics, something in contrast to our own is the bull in a china shop, reckless, strong man. I can do whatever I want. Look at me. Sort of attitude fares a little bit or plays differently in the American political atmosphere than it would in Canada,
except for in Alberta.
Except for in Alberta. Yeah, of course. There's going to always be that faction of people. I'm speaking
Alberta.
like largely general public if it came down to an election, you know, that sort of thing.
And also Saskatchewan.
Yeah, like we want in Canada, I think our evil politicians to at least appear nice.
Except for Saskatchewan and Alberta. Yeah, because honestly, if we left it up to Alberta, wow, shit's fucked right now. Like they had 4 years of the NDP and decided that no, we're gonna go back to Conservatives and also tear down everything eternally forever. And
honestly, I'm a little hazy on the issues of Alberta. Like I remember being a little more astute on it when the NDP was in charge, but honestly, it's been so long since I've had my finger on the Alberta pulse.
Okay,
so I don't feel like I can speak on it too much.
A couple highlights is that Danielle Smith is going full transphobe of removing
well, that's not surprising. I've heard about that. Yeah,
okay. Yeah. So that's one. Another one is wanting to remove Alberta from the Canada Pension Plan. And yeah.
Okay. All right. Like, what's that supposed to do for working class people? What's the benefit there?
Kill them, make sure that they starve in their old age.
What's that supposed to do? I'm a little lost. Like I like, you know, I'd be interested to hear what the sell is on that. Like, what is the talking point or the populist angle that the right wingers there are taking to get out of the pension plan? Like, what is the angle? I just can't think of what the sell is there for people. Where it's like, wait. You know, like even the conservative people would be like, no, I kind of want my pension, actually. I've been paying into that for a while.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to understand what their angle on that would be. I don't know. I like I said, I'm not too on Alberta politics recently. But even Ontario politics, because it's been kind of like almost relatively quiet. In comparison to everything else that's going on, I guess.
I mean, that's by fucking design,
it's kind of like,
it?
Yeah. You know, it kind of gets lost in the wash.
I mean, that's why he had the election in the middle of winter, so that things could go quiet for a bit.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what we were getting to with Carney there. Not only is he capitulating, you know, to the Americans in the sense of Bill C-2, he is like. Here, let's just show it. And this is an official Government of Canada website here. Canada rescinds digital service tax to advance broader trade negotiations with the United States. Canada's new government is engaged in complex negotiations on a new economic and security partnership with the United States, focused on getting the best deal for Canadian workers and businesses. Prime Minister Carney has been clear that Canada will take as long as necessary, but no longer, to achieve that deal. What a nothing statement that is. It will take as long as necessary, but no longer. Like, you could say that no matter what, right? Like, no matter what the outcome is, you're like, yes, this is how long it was necessary. For better or worse, right? Like, what a fluffy...
Emphasis on worse. Always worse.
A bit of nothing there. But, yeah, complex negotiations. Like, I'm sorry. Okay. Like, when you're talking about negotiation with Donald Trump, there's nothing complicated about it.
Yeah, but also don't.
This guy is an idiot negotiator. So thinking like you're gonna bring like some sort of skill and precision to his bullshit fight, it's just laughable. It's like, you know, the old Obi-Wan Kenobi quote, you know, who's the bigger fool, the fool or the one who follows him? You know,
And the answer is yes.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's what I get from this in Carney is that it is a completely unnecessary capitulation.
Yeah.
Like this type of digital service tax is something that American states charge against these companies, against tech companies and stuff like that. American states do it. But of course, Trump isn't going to kick up a big fuss about that, states' rights and all. And so, like Canada doing it or any country doing it, this type of digital service tax is not out of the ordinary. In fact, it's very normal. In fact, it's something that we should have already had. So
Yeah,
I've seen the pro-liberal party government, the your equivalent to blue dog Democrat. I don't know if we have a word for that here. Just hopeless liberal, I guess, here in Canada, married to the party, already trying to sell it. Oh, he's playing chess. He only put the digital services tax up as a bargaining chip so he could be like, oh, you're upset about that? Okay, we can take it away and now let's negotiate. Again, this is something we should already had. This shouldn't even be a bargaining chip.
But here's the thing: is
if
that
this is the bargaining chip he gave himself, why didn't he go way higher?
Yeah.
Why didn't he go after something bigger? Why didn't he put his foot down more? Well, like you think you're being delicate and doing some sort of ballet with fucking Donald Trump?
with Godzilla,
Like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Be serious.
Yeah. It's like pretending that you're dancing with Cary Grant when you're two-stepping with Godzilla.
Yeah.
Like, there's no subtlety. There's no, light on their feet. It is just stomping.
We've all seen enough excerpts from Art of the Deal and heard enough from the guy who ghost wrote it.
Yeah.
Like, we know the type of person we're dealing with here, right?
Yeah,
Like,
but it is par for the course for Canada to basically give away and sell any kind of way to protect our media and our tech from the U.S. That is just that's a reason why our theaters, for example, are largely AMC's.
Yeah.
Because we did not protect our ability to own our distribution rights in Canada. And so, this is just par for the course of how, for example, why CBC is so fucking critical, because so many decisions were made that did not protect Canadian rights to culture and media that CBC is basically like
the champion of, or
the champion of, and like
champion of.
It's like the last guard, basically, the first and last guard, because we've done nothing before or since to protect ourselves. It is completely obnoxious. The way that the was it CFRA? No, that's not the right acronym. But there's so many Canadian acronyms.
But yeah, like either way, so far, right off the bat, like all we see as Canadians, right, are the one thing that Carney put up, like aside from like, the tariffs thing where, we're going to match their tariffs and all that,
which
pretty boilerplate stuff.
Which we keep even going forward and back on.
Yeah, and because they keep going forward, back on it, there's a very stupid dance happening there.
Yeah.
But again, when it comes to this was an actual issue that we should already have going for us.
Yeah.
And the second he puts it up, he just immediately folds like a lawn chair. And so far, I'm not getting that elbows up feeling so much.
I'm just getting elbow to my gut from my own government.
Yeah.
This is clown shoes. I've also sent you a couple links to, for instance, look at, if you could just grab that quickly. So on the first one, that was what I was talking about, the forward expanding medical procedures covered by OHIP in private clinics.
Yeah.
And then the second one is the new laws coming into effect in Ontario on Canada Day. Nothing to do with federal, entirely to do with provincial, but again, areas where Yeah, where we just don't fucking protect ourselves. Like the one thing that we can say that we've kind of effectively done in Ontario is removing U.S. booze from the shelves. But then again, the entirety of Doug Ford's platform has been surrounding booze the entire fucking time.
The guy is like such a dyed-in-the-wool drug dealer, like recreational drug dealer. Yeah. It's what he spent his youth doing. Everybody knows it.
Yeah.
The dude was a big weed dealer and coke dealer and whatever else. I mean, his brother smoking crack on camera, I think, kind of helps to speak to that. It definitely doesn't take anything away from it.
Yeah. And look, Doug Ford.
So of course, like him being like he sees himself as like the booze guy now. Like he's in charge of Ontario, so he's Mr. Booze Man. And so, what are some of these things that we see here coming into law here? Yes, you can drink on a pedal pub now. Booze is now legal on those rolling group bikes. New amendments let pedal pubs sell liquor mid-route.
That sounds like a terrible idea. That sounds fun. That sounds
like,
fun.
Why
for
was
people.
this even a thought? That's the thing I have. Like you're talking about like the leaders of Ontario going, you know those group bikes? We should have beers on those. Yeah. Like with all the other problems we have going on.
So even despite those, so that sounds fun with the kind of group of friends who monitor their imbibing responsibly. There's like 5 people in Ontario who fall underneath that. Everyone else is going to get so fucking sloppy, they're going to fall off in like 5 minutes.
Disability payments get a boost.
Yeah, that's actually like there's
no longer
things
counted as income if you're on Ontario ODSP. If you're on ODSP, you'll keep more. Health benefits stay untouched. Finally.
Yeah, so like there's some things that here admittedly aren't bad. You know, that's not saying that ODSP is increasing. It just means that there's no clawbacks from the federal disability payments.
Like that seems like a thing we should have already had, of course.
Literally.
But
which is why they said finally.
Yeah, finally. But I'm somewhat surprised that this government did that. So fuel tax cuts made permanent. That 5.7 cent per liter discount on gas is not going anywhere. Propane for road vehicles gets an extra 4.3. Small relief, still something.
Okay, but that's still less revenue. So that just means more cuts further down the line. So we might see like a small reprieve on our day-to-day, but all the things that funds, the fuck off.
I don't get the point of of having a subsidy for gas when you could just put price caps on gas and force gas companies to just not make as much money. That is something the government has the power to do.
I'm pretty sure that someone's gonna like break into our house and shoot us in the night for us for you saying that.
That is the much more simpler way to do this. It's a lot. Doug Ford. He loves to talk about efficiencies, right? It's pretty inefficient to have this tax credit situation, or you could just force prices to be lower.
Yeah.
That's pretty straightforward. But, the main fear there, of course, is under this, like, capitalist system that we have.
Yeah.
The biggest fear, whether conservative or liberal, is the one thing you really don't want to do is appear anti-business. Doing anything to reel businesses in, to regulate them, to make them socially responsible for any of their own activity.
Yeah. Doesn't
anti-business. Can't do it.
Doesn't matter if they're bringing in $1 billion a year and paying not in taxes. Heaven forfend that you should appear anti-business to them, because they will just always run it back to like, oh, what about mom and pop shops? Mom and pop. Yeah. Gas companies aren't mom and pop shops.
New hires must know the deal before day one. Employees with 25% staff must be given new workers written details, pay, hours, job info. Again, we're a first world country, and that's not something that was already like a gold standard.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
The bar is that freaking low?
Yeah.
Good, I guess, but how on earth?
Yeah. 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 Then the next one,
Oh,
number 6, is cludging through their current healthcare crisis.
Nurse practitioners can do more: defibrillators, pacemakers, blood testing, death certificates, more authority, fewer delays, expanded trust in medical hands.
So like
So
this is,
more responsibility for the nurses that are already overworked and understaffed. That's what I'm
Yeah,
gathering
That
from
doesn't
that.
actually guarantee staffing levels, so that the nurses who are already doing everything actually have the ability to competently do this. So.
FIFA can still sell tickets in foreign currencies.
Not still, now. Like previously, that wasn't the case.
Can sell tickets
Yeah.
foreign currencies. Oh, that's
I don't give a shit.
again. Who gives a shit? What
Yeah,
is this?
okay.
Tribunal cases can be reassigned. Justice delayed is too common. If a hearing drags on too long, a new panel can take over. The goal: speed. The cost, we'll see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe,
RV licensing just got more specific. Driving an RV rules are changing. 2 license tiers: Class G, E, F for lighter rigs, restricted to Class D for heavyweights. Know your weight or risk the fine. I mean, I guess, road safety, always good. But as I've always said, when it comes to road safety, we wouldn't have to worry about half this shit if we didn't make all of our economy completely dependent on stupid automobiles instead of robust public transit.
Yep.
But whatever.
Yeah. But anywho, it's a thing. It's a fuck. It's a shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what are we getting on to now? Okay. The big beautiful bill. Speaking of new laws, let's talk about the big beautiful bill in the United States. And of course, the reason we do this is because everything they do is an echo of what happens up here. If not everything I just talked about, Carney and everything like that doesn't speak to that point. Senate sends revised Trump agenda bill to the House. Trump feuds with Elon Musk. Elon Musk is apparently not happy with parts of this bill. Trump's big bill. The Senate voted 51-50 to pass Republicans' massive domestic policy bill after a marathon overnight session, voting on amendments. House Republican leaders said they would move to quickly begin considering of the bill, aiming for a final passage by July 4th.
Yeah. So major cuts to Medicaid. Millions of people will lose their access to health insurance.
Yeah. And of course, what do the Democrats do to fight this?
These motherfuckers. Yeah.
What do they do to fight it? They force him to change the name. He cites an old-timey Senate rule that you can't call it the Big Beautiful Bill. It has to be called the One Big Beautiful Act. Thank you, Chuck Schumer, for your diligence in upholding
ineffectual
law
fart.
and justice.
Yeah.
This is fucking like, I hate how much reality is a parody of itself, right?
Yeah. Like we're still
we
going
as the
through.
Democrats, we're going to make sure proper procedure is upheld here, and make sure we're representing all Americans. This is not a bill.
We're still going.
This is an act.
We're still going through and watching the series Veep.
Yeah.
And the great thing about
that's
the great thing about Veep is that they don't publicly speak to themselves as being either political affiliation.
They don't have Democrats and Republicans in Veep. They have two different parties. They go by different names. I forget what they even are. But it's kept pretty gray.
Yeah.
Which one is supposed to be which?
But honestly, it could go just cynically either fucking way. The way that Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and their ilk will finger wag, but then do literally nothing to stop any of this.
Yeah.
Like, you blowhards who love sniffing your own farts and getting paid to do absolutely fucking nothing to protect people.
So what's some of the things in the Big Beautiful Bill? Let's check it out. Now, mind you, already over the time of Trump, the first administration, there was a lot of historical tax breaks given to the wealthy, immense wealth transfers from the middle class and the poor to the upper classes.
Yeah.
And now this bill is
It says,
now a
hold
new,
my beer.
It says hold my beer, and this is now a new record-setting
Yeah.
wealth transfer
Yeah.
yet again.
Yeah.
Like, how much more can you squeeze from the poor and working class of America? How much more can you
That's what they're trying to find
squeeze from the working class of America while you convince them to vote for you? That is the crazy thing. How these people are duped into the whole immigrants scapegoating thing, like the lamest and oldest trick in the book here. The one we should really be able to recognize and know better with. No, he's going to get rid of the immigrants. That will make everything okay. The fact that I'm actively getting poorer and he's actively taking money out of my wallet and giving it to his rich friends, that's okay. It's those damn immigrants, right? It's
also those immigrants' faults when the farms rot with produce because ICE has been taking the fucking farm workers, or the ones that they haven't taken are too afraid to show up to work. And so, that's, hey, do you know how to start a famine? That's a pretty good fucking way to go about it, to make sure that crops cannot be cropped.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, picked.
Let's get into the details
plucketh.
here. Social Security taxes here. On the campaign trail, Trump vowed to eliminate taxes on Social Security income, monthly payments to people with disabilities and older adults. The House bill fell short of delivering on that promise. Oh, surprise, surprise, they fell short on that one. But it did temporarily increase the standard deduction of up to $4,000 for individuals 65 and over. The deduction will be in place until 2028. The deduction extensions begin to decrease after $150,000. Blah, blah, blah. Join the Senate Republicans are also looking to extend Social Security tax breaks and have proposed an increase that would grant a $6,000 tax deduction for older Americans. I'm sorry, the tax deduction is only up to $6,000. That is nuts. That's it? That's it?
Yeah. Whoopty fucking shit.
Pathetic.
Yeah.
It's just insulting.
Yeah.
They spit in your eye, it's just fucking crazy. And of course, more Medicaid requirements, putting up more barriers there, and the remnants of a socialized healthcare plan that the Americans have, and the skeleton of a system that they got going with that is Medicaid. And they're even stripping that further. It's so crazy. One of the changes are new work requirements for childless adults without disabilities. And putting up restrictions like that, childless adults without disabilities, there could be maybe a disability that doesn't qualify. Mm-hmm. What is a disability? That it puts up these walls that just shouldn't be there in the first place. Like that can only cause harm. Yeah. Right. And
because so let's say that you are a normal fit adult without children. That doesn't mean that you're not working a $7.50 an hour minimum wage job and then break your toe on shift or get hit by a fucking car. Yeah. So not having kids and not having a disability at the time doesn't guarantee that you're going to continue without disabilities. And again,
just more barriers, more things to make it difficult to collect these benefits. Another proposed change to the program is requiring Medicaid re-enrollment to shift from once a year to every 6 months.
Jesus fucking shit.
Enrollees would have to provide additional income and residency verifications.
That's fucked.
Why? Why would you have to pass through hoops
to make
as
sure
a poor person
to make sure you
to just get basic medical care?
To be able to expand those cracks.
Yeah.
To shove a fucking wrench in them. And
that is not a sign of a healthy or advanced society.
No.
It's not. Oh, you say, we're just being responsible with our money.
No, it's not your money.
The idea of the money, of having money for social programs is to make sure people get care.
Mm-hmm.
The more you put up barriers in people getting care, the less efficient that becomes, because now, those hoops require enforcement, right?
Yep.
You require people to stand in the way
Mm-hmm.
and make sure these things are being enforced. You're creating a more convoluted Byzantine system that keeps people from accessing said system.
And also, especially from accessing preventative health care, which is far cheaper and has greater health outcomes, ensuring that people are waiting until they're in a crisis to the point where they do become disabled and the healthcare costs are exponentially more. Someone can't just, if they're suddenly kicked off Medicaid, they're not going to go in if they only suspect they're having a heart attack. They're not going to go in if they only suspect they have diabetes. They're going to go in once they're like literally having to call themselves a fucking ambulance because they can't cover the upfront costs to check on their health. And so it's just when it becomes either death or hospital, that's when they're going to make that choice. And that is so much more expensive for everyone. And if I need to explain all the ways where it's more expensive to deal with emergencies than to have preventative health care and to have healthy adults, I don't know what the fuck to say to you.
Another thing I wanted to highlight here is the SNAP benefits, which is food stamps.
Food.
Literal just feeding
food
people so they can, maybe have enough nutrition in their blood to go to work or even have a ghost chance in hell of getting a job.
Yeah. So for all the people give shit for Americans with their fast food and convenience meals, having the luxury of a space within which to store and have time to prepare and to cook and having the knowledge and facilities to make food gets further eroded when you can't even buy this food because you have no SNAP benefits.
Yeah, for a lot of people whose living situations are precarious and they need these social systems, maintaining a kitchen, having a kitchen, not necessarily having ready-made food accessible to them is a tremendous benefit, especially for single people. Even people who are single, live in that bachelorette lifestyle. Maybe you have a roommate, but you're working full time. And you essentially are a single person. How often are you cooking for yourself at home? Be real with yourself. You spend a lot of money on takeout, but it also, to a large extent, makes economic sense because you're just one person. So again, maintaining a pantry, maintaining a fridge full of food and produce can be quite costly for a single individual.
And also, if you didn't grow up in a home that taught you how to cook or taught you what healthy meals are, and it's all on you to figure this shit out for yourself, this is just one more fucking barrier, right? If we're talking about, because I know that we like to throw around the terms of common knowledge. When it comes to supporting yourself on your own as an adult, there is no common fucking knowledge. This comes from your family and from your growing up situation. So if you
it's common knowledge to you because the people in your life made it such. They made it common.
Whereas if you didn't have anybody in your life to, growing up to feed you vegetables and fresh fruits and how to prepare anything, and then you're on your own, it's expensive to learn how to cook and fuck up food. It is expensive to make bad meals that are inedible because no one taught you and you're trying from scratch. Or that, even if you're successful.
You barely scrape up enough money to, I'm going to make a proper meal. Yeah. And then you burn the chicken by accident.
Yeah, because you're not sure how the whole fucking thing works because
you
no
make
one taught you.
one mistake and you're not very good at this and you burn the chicken and now dinner is a fraction of what it was going to be because you don't have the money to replace it now.
That's a big fucking deal. Yeah. I had the benefit of parents who let me learn how to cook in the kitchen growing up. And so by the time I was even on my own, I had a lot of recipes that I knew how to do.
And all this is to say, just making sure people have access to a basic level of nutrition. It isn't rocket science. It isn't revolutionary. It's not even particularly expensive. Yeah, whenever I mess up a meal, I cry. I know.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Even
I have
recently,
completely fucked up meals before,
Yeah.
and it makes me so mad. And from like my sort of poverty upbringing, where like having nice meals it wasn't a thing that happened a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have this very much a poverty mindset when it comes to food. So when food gets wasted in general, I like it. It makes me very anxious.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And like even recently, I made gumbo for the first time, and I didn't fucking like it. And
You
I
forgot
made,
like a couple ingredients or something like that,
no.
or it
Turns
just didn't turn out. It wasn't like
no.
It was okay, but it wasn't great. I don't know.
In general, turns out I don't like the taste of gumbo.
Oh. I mean, I've had gumbo before that I liked. I just didn't think that one was very good. And I don't mean to insult your cooking. You know that because there's so many things you made that I absolutely love.
Yeah.
So,
But that's the thing is that like even at its, unelevated state, I'm like, can't foresee how someone would make this in a way that I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to, eat all of this. No, I just
think like
didn't.
soups and stews like that are like, it's like a sleeper thing, like they're trickier than they seem,
But also like
balancing
I
all
love
the
jambalaya,
flavors
but
and
turns out I
spices
don't
and-
fucking like gumbo. And so it broke my own heart. And so like this is the kind of thing that we could do because we had the financial luxury of me making it and then being like, I don't like it, and then eating something else.
So yeah. Anyway, back on topic here. The reform to the SNAP benefits specifically. Reforms have also been added to the SNAP program. The government used by over 40 million low-income Americans. The new bill requires states to contribute more to the program, which is also partially funded by the federal government. It adds work requirements for able-bodied SNAP enrollees who do not have
In an
dependents.
economy
Again,
when
work
folks
requirements.
when in an economy when folks are struggling to get a job.
Yeah.
Like
So you got to make them basically do more to make them seem like they're trying to get a job. Just like, I just can't imagine when you are at this point in your life, when you're on SNAP benefits and you're unemployed and you're barely keeping your head above water, and it's already in how we've structured things so humiliating and undignifying and exhausting in its own right.
Yep.
To add the insult to injury, to add these sort of requirements and hoops to just them being able to eat.
Yeah.
Such a simple concept of just like having enough human dignity to eat and sleep comfortably should be the basis that you have before even looking for a job, right? Like you're expected to get a job so you can do these things. I think you should have those things so you can do the job and contribute to society. How are you expected to contribute to society in any meaningful or heartfelt way, in any way that speaks to, liberty, life, and pursuit of happiness and all that, when, those are the conditions you have to operate under. It's crazy. It's inhumane.
Yeah, I mean, the cruelty is the point.
Yeah.
The entire way through, the cruelty is the point. To break people down as far as they absolutely fucking can. And just that I'm hedging what I want to say next because it's so complicated that, us being up here in Canada and saying like the Americans are letting them do this, where the news isn't even really covering the kinds of protests and stuff that are going on. Because
they're not letting them to. Like I could say you could say that America has largely let this happen in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of resistance going around that is not being talked about or televised.
Yeah.
So absolutely worth noting.
Yeah. So I feel complicated about like, going on with that statement of like, Americans allowing this to happen, but just also how these lawmakers can pass something like this and still be allowed to have comfortable lives is shocking.
Yeah,
It's
like what was that thing? Oh, I forget who it was now. I'm sure anybody watching is probably going to know exactly what I'm talking about. But the American politician, the lady a few weeks ago, who was like, "Hey, look, everybody dies."
Oh yeah, that fucking ghoul. Yeah.
Like that is a rolling out the guillotine moment if I ever heard one.
Yeah.
How people didn't like sure there were a lot of boos in the crowd.
Yeah.
But I'm talking, how didn't they storm the stage?
Yeah, and like allow her to leave in one fucking
yeah,
piece.
exactly.
Right?
Like that. I'm talking like if mob violence suddenly took over and kicked in there, I'd be like, yeah, that seems about right.
Like
actually,
of all the occasions to mob, Jesus Christ.
This woman in power making money off of your fucking money to be your representative.
Looking you square into
stood
the windows
up there
of your
on
soul.
that stage
and
said, "Hey, look, everybody dies." That's so beyond fucked, man. Like, I don't know what to tell you anymore.
Like this
I don't know what to tell you anymore.
Yeah. This is dystopian shit. Idiocracy was an optimistic view of the future because these ghouls...
Who was that? I'm going to have to Google it now. I can't go without, like, saying it.
Yeah, no, find a lady.
Just in case anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. Find a lady who sucks.
GOP Senator
Joni Ernst.
Yeah, Republican Senator Joni Ernst. Okay, yeah, like here we can pull up the video.
So when we're talking about the corrections in this reconciliation bill, again, it's corrections of overpayments and people that have not been eligible for these programs by law as it is currently written. So when you are arguing about illegals that are receiving Medicaid benefits, 1.4 million, 1.4, they are not eligible. So they will be coming off. So people are not, well, we all are going to die. So for heaven's sakes.
Like,
for heaven's sakes,
she has the gall
she says
to ask,
with a smile.
To act exasperated.
Yeah.
They're like,
for heaven's sakes.
Yeah. Like, to act
Everybody
exasperated by that.
Okay, if we dragged you out in the street and fucking killed you right now, everybody dies, right?
Sorry, Jess just said, and then she made that apology about how she didn't realize that not everyone knew that we're going to die someday. I would make sure that someday came so much
salt
sooner.
on that wound.
What the fucking
Jesus Christ,
fuck?
what a nutcase.
Yeah, like ghoul, straight up ghoul.
When you think of the word ghoulish, I can't think of a better textbook example.
Yeah, like
of what that looks like.
Yeah, like that's fucked up. Like I cannot fathom having so little empathy and so little
and
recognition about my lack of empathy.
How big this system is and how many people are paying into it, and the fact that immigrants do pay taxes.
Yeah. That's how they get benefits. So like, how would you, if you were...
Who fucking cares? Even if, like, I'm not even going to dig into it if she's correct on her numbers or not. Well, that 1.4 million people are collecting these benefits that aren't eligible for them under the current law. Who gives a fucking shit? You're talking about giving people basic health care.
Yeah. Like,
why is it such a question?
I don't give a shit.
What's wrong with you?
I don't give a shit if they're illegal alien from Neptune. Yeah. Like, if they have a compatible structure that we can provide them health care, we fucking should. Like, I don't give a fuck. And
that kind of segues into the next thing. I don't know if you got to read this article, but
I didn't intend to.
Oh, okay, but I sort of gave you the summary notes.
You did, and I didn't really care.
Yeah. But I think like it is worth noting because there's a couple key points in this that I want to take away. Antitrust defies politics' law of gravity, and if you read the article, you get what he means by that. It's a little esoteric in what he's saying, but essentially. the first portion of this is he's talking about in 2014, I read a political science paper that nearly convinced me to quit my lifelong career as an activist. And it was called Testing Theories of American Politics, American Interest, Elites, Interest Groups, and Average Citizens, published in Perspectives on Politics. And, if you read into it, it's done by college professors, professional people. Basically, they did a study to determine what drove U.S. politics and to try and get a definitive answer on this. Because, of course, you can probably glean the obvious at what drives the laws that get passed, the policy that gets noticed, particularly in American politics. But this study does go on to basically say in very stark terms, it's money.
Yeah.
Billionaires get what they want. Fuck you to everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
The only way that a mass protest movement gets any notice or care on the policy level is only in as so far as it can bring a tear to a billionaire's eye. And that is, according to this study, just the pure raw truth of it. That your activism under this system can only mean something if you appeal to the goodwill of somebody with a tremendous amount of money.
And here's the thing too, is that what a lot of people in the past, I'm going to say 50 years, don't understand is that activism in its current state is toothless, because activism and protests and marches previously were the threat of violence with the weight of the threat behind them. Whereas in the current iteration, we have been told, A, that, rights are won, so they're fine, leave them alone, you can stop protesting now. And B, that things such as civil rights movement were won by appealing to the morality of folks and not actually through violence. And so this study basically reiterates that, to say that, unless a billionaire decides that, for instance, decides that, you know what, by golly, you're right, I like the environment more than I like money, which is for a billionaire like a outright outrageous statement. So unless they decide that on their own, then our little marches mean nothing.
So, and then on the contrast, about halfway or a portion through this article, it gets to the point of what the title was speaking to. And it gets into how there's been a bit of a shift in international attention to antitrust. So as the writer goes on here, then something like, after talking about how depressing that study we were just mentioning is, then something incredible happened. All this decade, a tide of antitrust vigor has swept the planet. The EU has passed big, muscular tech competition laws like the Digital Markets Act and the Digital Services Act, and has, by God, enforced them and have patched the enforcement weaknesses in the GDPR. EU member states, France, Germany, Spain, have passed their own big, ambitious national laws that go further than the EU legislation. Even Ireland, a country that deliberately prostrated itself to big U.S. tech, is getting in on the act, with the country's social media czar railing against the enshittification of tech. I'm not sure what they mean by the enshittification, but forcing very inefficient, misinforming, completely bizarre AI bullshit onto everybody that no one asked for it, I think is, I hope, is part of that.
It's at least part of it. Basically, it's just, any social media platform that has come out over the past 15, 20 years, if it still exists, it's gotten worse.
Oh, here's the thing, to speak to the first point we talked to in the show today. Not just the EU, of course. Australia and Canada has taken some big swings at big tech. Canada is pressing ahead with its digital service tax of 3% for onshore earnings of tech companies with more than 20 million in annual turnover, despite the fact that Trump has promised to end all trade talks with Canada in retaliation. So again, what did we do to show we had such an elbows up, ready to fight attitude?
And put our elbows right the fuck back down.
Immediately capitulated on that.
Yeah, we immediately put our elbows right the fuck back down.
But nonetheless, the rest of the world is doing something about this stuff.
Yeah.
And to me, it's a combination, because even the writer himself goes on to say, what has brought this on? Why is this happening? There's no precedent or reason for it. There's not, because like, as we just mentioned, things only get done because billionaires want them for the most part. So how is all this antitrust stuff happening? There isn't some cohort of billionaires funding politicians to be tough on antitrust, right? If anything, quite the opposite.
I think it's in part because there's such these big heads that are now starting to butt heads. It's kind of like
Elon versus Trump kind of thing.
I was literally going to say it's kind of like how when multiple players get so big. And now, they've grown out of their big fish and little pool. Now there's, several big fish in the little pool because the pool gets smaller as the fish get bigger. I think that kind of thing is sort of inevitable, that they realize that they can't keep cannibalizing each other and they need to figure out some sort of protectionism.
Yeah.
Not that
I
Canada
think that's the
will
perfect
do
word
that.
for it. Protectionism. Like, as I've mentioned many times before, on and off the show and my own other social media posts and stuff like that, it's something that I want to make very clear to people who just exist in liberalism in kind of like the regular, almost pseudo apolitical day-to-day life, that liberalism will turn to fascism and almost always does when the going gets tough. I think what we're seeing in this sort of turn in liberalism is a sense of protectionism, where it's realizing that the pendulum swinging this far to the right on both the U.S. being the international power and on the international scale. There's a lot of European countries that have gone pretty right-wing, electorally speaking, over the past while. And I think this is sort of an example of the pendulum swinging the other way, where people are realizing, this isn't the way out. This isn't working for us. And there's at least enough suspicion or historical precedent and knowledge for people in Europe to reject the type of fascism you're seeing taking over the United States.
I wouldn't even go that far. I would more say that it's this is just, me talking. I don't have any evidence behind me. I am thinking that this is likely more in line with, for example, Trump's policy of slashing and burning international relations. This has wide-reaching effects, and it didn't start with Trump, but this kind of area of like the U.S. wanting to take over everything, like Meta, for example, or Google, or Apple, just wanting to consume all other companies. And so I think it was it happened for a long time that we've internationally let them. And so I think that other countries deciding to protect themselves with antitrust laws is, I think, more a reaction to that than anything. I don't think it has anything to do with them being like, fascism not great. I think it's more to them to be like, you know what, we want our own brand of fascism, so we got to make sure that other countries can't buy us into their brand of fascism.
Right. Yeah, I think that. I think that's almost part and parcel to the point I was saying. I think that's I think that's pretty relevant. Yeah.
Anyway, I want to go.
Yeah. Well, I think that was the perfect cap to the show. Again, I want to show this article because I thought it was interesting. And I think it's worth reading. Cory Doctorow posted this on June 28th, just this past June 28th. So yeah, go and give that a read. And here, let's get the Rough Report theme pulled up here. Oh yeah. So if all goes to plan, we will have another show next week, this Sunday. We'll be back live this Sunday. Please join us in the chat. Prompt us. Argue with us. You can push back on our points.
Hey, I mean, I enjoy being proven wrong. If you have proof.
You know, I generally a lot of the news and takes I have to disperse is pretty depressing. So if you prove me wrong, chances are it's less depressing.
If things are better,
I'm all for
good.
it. I'm all for less depressing.
Yeah.
This has been the Rough Report, reporting live from Ottawa. Thanks so much. Check out the tunes, the music. Oh, I always get this screwed up. Yeah, right there. All that stuff. Thanks so much for tuning in. And as always, stay rough. Yeah.